Welcome back to another exciting episode of Hot Dog Telepathy's short stories. I am your host for today, Hot Dog Telepathy, and I have a captivating short story to share with you. Get ready to hear a thought-provoking tale of mystery, romance, and the inexplicable connection between two individuals. Make yourself comfortable, and let's embark on this extraordinary journey together. Today's story begins in a bustling city bar, where the paths of two strangers unexpectedly cross. While the two have never met, there is an unexplained familiarity, and, well, they just know each other. The two share a profound past life connection and realize they have unbreakable ties that transcend time itself. Join me in this tale of love, fate, and the resilience of the human spirit. Together, we will uncover their past lives and unlock the promise that binds their souls together. Join me in listening to Lovers Across Time.
I saw her across the room standing at the bar, and I couldn't look away. I didn't know why, but I was being called to her by something I didn't understand. She had a martini glass with some overpriced red cocktail pressed against her lips. Her dress was tight and clung to her skin like wet silk. Every curve and fold of her skin was outlined and accentuated by the fabric. Her hair fell in loose curls around her bare shoulders, and I assumed she was on a date with someone, probably happily married, or otherwise unavailable. But I was still drawn to her. Something inside wouldn't let me just walk away. I knew I was staring, but I just couldn't stop. I was mesmerized. I sipped at my beer and tried to talk myself out of going over to talk to her. Just walking up to a woman in a bar had never worked for me before, but my brain wouldn't let this go. I left my glass and started to cross the room. There weren't too many people in the pub that night, so I had no one to cover my passage should I be spotted and need an escape plan. I walked up to her and realized that I had no plan here, no witty opening line, nothing. So I just opened with a cheerful "Hi there." I was just about to say something else, but she looked at me with such confusion and concern it was very off-putting. I was about to apologize when I felt a wave of realization come over me. I know her. No, I don't know her, that's not it. I knew her in the past. Her face was different. I was different, the world around us was different, but I knew this woman. I could tell by the look on her face that she was struggling with the same feeling. She put her glass down on the bar and without speaking placed her hand on my cheek and stared into my eyes. It felt like she was trying to look into my soul, her eyes burning deep into me. She was trying to understand the thoughts in her head the same as I was trying to understand mine. Her touch sent tingles through my skin, the warmth of her hand filled my face and neck, and slowly spread like warmed honey down my body, making me more relaxed and at ease. She leaned in and pressed her cheek against mine and whispered in my ear, "My love, I have finally found you." As she pulled back from me, it was like she just realized what she had said and pulled her hand back from my face and looked embarrassed. As she withdrew, I grabbed her hand and without thinking said, "It has been so long, I didn't think this day would come." Without a second thought I leaned in to kiss her. She met my lips halfway and images and thoughts of other people's lives filled my head. We both stepped back and looked at each other in shock. "What just happened?" she asked. I didn't know what had happened, but even though I had only just seen this woman, I knew her, not just knowing her, but I loved her with all my soul. I ached for her to be with me again. I didn't know what that meant. I had only just met her, but needed to be with her again. How could that be? We left the bar together that night and crossed town to her apartment. I have never felt so comfortable with another person as I did with her. We told each other of our lives and how our journey had brought us to that bar tonight, and it felt like our souls were reconnecting after being apart for hundreds of years. We spoke for hours in her home, and it must have been around 2 a.m. when we fell into each other's arms. Her lips pressed against mine and I felt our two hearts join in a connection that spanned dozens of lives, hundreds of years, and thousands of miles. She took my hand and led me to the bedroom. I admit I was nervous. The feelings and thoughts that had come to me when we kissed, what would happen if we took this to the next level? She kissed me deeply and held my head and whispered, "I have waited so long for this, my love. Be with me again as we were when we first lived." I unbuttoned my shirt and dropped it to the floor. She slipped from her dress and pulled me in for another kiss. As we fell onto the bed, it was like falling through time, through the past lives we had lived, the bodies that had been me, but I had not known. The faces and names of so many people came to me as I tumbled back through the ages into the life and body of an Anglo-Saxon. I opened my eyes and there she was, laying there next to me in our timber house. We both looked different, but it was definitely us. Two souls that had been torn apart by death and time, reincarnated over and over again, until the day they meet again in what will be, to them, the distant future. Our ancient love had brought us back to this time and this place when it was so powerful that nothing would be able to keep us apart. But what had happened to our future lives? Our future bodies? Were they dead now that our souls inhabited these bodies? If we know of our lives in the future, did part of us travel back into these bodies? Over time, the memories of our future lives faded, and we lived out our lives as we were meant to in our small village. Many years passed, and we grew old side by side until that fateful day when death came looking for us. Disease took many of our village that year, but my love and I held on as long as we could, defiant of dark figure of death. When it was no longer possible to fight death, we lay side by side on our bed and promised each other that death would not part us, that we would find each other in the next life and be together again. It was not in the next life that we would meet again, but we did keep our promise to each other.
Thank you all for joining me on this journey today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember, you can find more short stories in our upcoming episodes. Make sure to follow us on your favorite podcast platforms. And if you loved today's episode, please leave us a review. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us continue bringing you the content you want. Until next time, stay connected with people around you, stay inspired, and keep embracing the power of storytelling. Thank you again for joining me today, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Hot Dog Telepathy's Short Stories.